next question will start with Mr. O'Brien Fair. The number of incidents of violent and property crime has been rising in Willowdale. What would you do to reduce the crime rates and keep the streets of North York safe? It's a general question, but I'm pretty sure your constituents have voiced many concerns to each of you, so you can direct specifically to that.
I think there's no question that this is a growing concern throughout the community, and in particular over the last couple of years, the rates of auto theft, in Willowdale have been specifically targeted by criminals in other parts of the city coming in, and that has helped spike the rates. I think there's also a lot more economic desperation out there as a result of rising prices. We've talked about the issues of affordability. Well, that's manifesting itself in terms of some of these concerns that we're seeing out on our streets. So we are challenged as councillors because we are not by law able to direct deployment of the Toronto Police Service. That is up to their commanding officers and the Police Services Board. But I think there are things that we can do that will perhaps create more availability of officers to focus on these issues by looking at things like automated traffic enforcement, which we talked about earlier, whether it is using traffic wardens to move traffic through intersections rather than uniformed officers, whether it is hiring people as crisis intervention specialists that are able to respond to those in distress and dealing with mental health challenges rather than having an armed officer show up on the scene that can sometimes escalate the situation and make it worse, not better. I think if we can think about ways in which other non-uniformed officers can deal with some of these issues, allow the police to focus their resources on the issues of crime and safety, that will help them create more of a presence. I think we also need to continue to advocate with our partners at 32 Division to have more visible presence through Willowdale, get back to the point where they're doing more foot patrols and bike patrols so that the perception is that we are staying safe, that there is that presence out in our community. I think that that's something that we all expect to see. That's advocacy work that I have done with many of our community leaders over the last many years, and something that I would absolutely want to continue to do as your councillor.
Thank you.
Safety is a big issue. It is a great question. I get a lot at the doors. They're afraid. They don't feel comfortable. Like I keep telling you, they don't feel comfortable letting the kids out on the street and play. On the streets. Like I used to get my kids play on the streets. There's no such thing anymore. We think that last 2 years, the big difference is 5,800 Yonge Street. That's the major difference that there was. There was no major changes in anything else. And I truly believe that we need to do something about that. Making sure those people stays within the frames of safety of the neighborhoods. We need to work with the police so that there's more visible in that area, as well as working with the neighborhoods. There is no prioritization of safety, of public safety, with this current councillor's Fillion. We need to prioritize it. We need to talk to the neighbors. We need to have neighborhood safety association or safety, whatever groups in different parts of our riding so that we can talk to them, we can have the police to talk to them and show them what they're doing so that we can actually communicate. That's the root of solution. Better communication between the neighborhoods and helping each other. That's Canadians. When my wife told me that there was a little girl, a young girl on the platform on Finch Station, I was being harassed by this gentleman. Everybody moved away. I gotta say, including her. That's not Canadian way of doing things. If somebody is in danger, if somebody needs help, Canadian way is go there and help the person. And that's just, I don't feel that was right. We need to do better as a person, and that comes up from the safety organization within our riding, where we can talk and we can tell people, listen, we need to do it together. We cannot do it ourselves. And that 5800 Young Street, I believe it is the root cause of some of the crimes and problems in our area. And we need to really consider of taking a good look at what's going to happen in the future. Councillor Fillion has said it's going to close next year. There's no guarantee it's going to close next year. So we need to really closely look at that.
Thank you.
The safest neighborhoods are the ones where neighbors are looking out for each other. That's one of the things that police have said at community town halls that I've attended. And increasingly, we don't know our neighbors. One thing that I did the week before lockdown is I went to all the houses on my street and I invited my neighbors to join a WhatsApp group. So for the last 2 years, I've been in regular contact with my neighbors. We've been able to help each other. Someone needed Tylenol because there's a shortage right now. Another person had it and ran it over. Someone needed someone to fix their water heater, and someone else had a good idea of someone who could help out. So it sounds simple, but it's actually very effective. And when we did have some situations on our street, we could alert each other and we could look out for each other. So one part of my platform is to encourage more of these small cluster digital neighborhood watch networks. It just takes one champion for every cluster of 10 to 20 houses. We can easily build these small connections so that we can look out for each other. Now, in terms of safety, we really need honest conversation. At a recent meeting about the Novotel shelter, I brought up that we have lost trust because of the rising situations of the homeless shelter, not conflating. Refugees are different from homeless, different demographic, but just raising the point that we have lost trust because women have been harassed and assaulted and threatened. And I was accused by our current counselor of manufacturing lies. We cannot solve problems unless we're allowed to talk about them. So we need an emergency, it's already, in my opinion, emergency, town hall, safety town hall, with the police, with homeless shelter staff, with community members, with some of the neighbors who are homeless, with mental health support workers, with our police, so that we can talk about what is happening and how we can restore safety to our neighborhood. Nothing can get done unless we can start with communication. We need a community liaison committee for 5800 Yonge Street. We have been offered one for Novotel shelter, but none was ever established for 5800 Yonge Street. And both of these liaison committees we have to ensure that they are strongly supported, that when they give feedback that they are heard and that it can result in tangible changes. If we have meetings where we say things and it doesn't result in change, then everyone's going to give up and there can be no positive results. So those are just some of the ways that I will work towards making a safer community. Thank you.
Thank you.